But these magnificent beings who are our descendants in the future, they will be considered like we consider now at the moment the Arcturians. Or
wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, they will be considered as such.
Wow.
And or by other cultures, and Earth people will teach these other races.
Wow. So they're putting us in the company of the Arcturians. They are the most evolved species in the galaxy. And I believe it because when you talk about the Cedars, when they created us with this idea in mind that they wanted to create a very special race. They wanted to create something that would become of that stature. They took the best DNA from the galaxy and they put it together, 28 different species. They put that DNA together to create us, this version of us. Yes, this is how special we are.
The DNA of these bodies we occupy, it's the gold of the galaxy. That's the highest prized item you can trade. Yes, they created these earthlings bodies, and as we say, shit happens. Evil people came, like the Nebu from Orion, the reptilians, Draco-reptilians, they messed up with all that. They locked our DNA, they wanted to lock us down.
Suppress it.
And at the same time, use our DNA. That's why they would do all these hybridization programs to Greys, to just experiment to create super races to enhance their own genome with these ones.
I mean, the Anunnaki, they also created a version of us, Anki, and to be a slave race, and I would say the Sumerians would be the offspring of that creation. So theirs is a version of us. There's multiple versions of us that existed throughout the years, and that's what makes this planet so diverse, is that there's just so many different experiments that went on, and we're all actually we say we're earthlings, where I am, but we all still are hybrids of some nature. So the Anunnaki have their hands in our development, but it's also separate from what the Cedars created. Yes. Right?
Something different, absolutely. The Cedars, it's more ancient intervention. The Anunnaki came afterwards, and there were some different early humans. I don't like to call primates, I call that early humans on Earth.
Okay.
Early humans. And the Anunnaki used some tribes where they landed to as a slave race, but they weren't as efficient and as obedient as they would, so they improved them genetically. And at that stage, the potential was to be activated further, and they went, oh, wait a minute, these ones are interesting. So they split into two factions, the Anunnaki, those who wanted to keep these hybrids as slaves, and others were led by the Enki.
Yeah. That was the wars that took place between the brothers. They live for thousands of years, don't they? The Anunnaki, yes. They're very advanced. Now you said they're also because this is where I get confused, because you see the images that they created on the stones of these giants with the beards, and then there's images of the reptilians that were also involved. So it's are Anunnaki? And you mentioned that they were part of the Greys, so I'm confused. Anunnaki, they are part of the Greys, the reptilians, and they have their own race, good and bad. How do you describe them?
Okay, so the Anunnaki are reptiloid.
They are.
Nature. Reptiloid doesn't mean reptilian.
Oh.
Reptilian is looking like a reptile. Okay, like the Draco-reptilians, for instance.
Right.
Reptiloid. Most of the Grey species are reptiloid. Laying eggs and cold blood, but they may not look like reptilians. The Greys, most of Greys are reptiloid. The Zeta
okay.
are reptiloid, but
okay. So they just have the cold-blooded reptile process. That's what makes them reptilian.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's it. So the Anunnaki are reptiloid in nature, and they are in the classification of Greys, but looking like humanoid.
They lay eggs? The Anunnaki?
I don't know. I don't think so. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
A not sure of that. Oh, I haven't thought about that. That's a good question. Reptiloid greys, human looking. Let's say it like that.
Okay. They were like giants. They were like tremendous size. They had great features.
I think that in these times, humans were smaller than now anyway.
Yes. Than now. But the Anunnaki they were big.
But they are taller than. I mean, I've seen an Anunnaki recently, a few months ago, and he was like 9 feet tall. Like that.
9 feet. Yeah, that would make sense. 9 feet, and muscular and physically just like robust, right? Like just.
Not this one. Well, the one
warriors.
I saw was had a very old body, so it was very decrepit and like.
Oh.
You know, the Anunnaki, something interesting with them. So they are master in genetics, and they are immortals.
Yes, they are. They live forever.
Forever. You know why? Because they know how to reproduce their clones, to clone their bodies, and when one body expires, they just switch their consciousness in a new clone, and that can go on forever.
That's what the Greys do. But now my question is that when you clone, does the clone have the soul? I mean, like, are you, like, if somebody cloned me, am I actually, what's that?
And a clone is an empty vessel. You need to put a consciousness.
Right. So when you put that consciousness in it, does the soul go with it? Like, that is the soul?
Yes, it's a transfer. It's a transfer. Imagine you have a clone of yourself, which is like in a tub, like dead body, like waiting to be awakened, activated. It has no soul. It's just an empty body. And you die, and your consciousness goes out of your body and goes into the clone, and the clone wakes up, and you wake up in this clone again.
Wow. So that is immortal, like that. So when they do that on Earth with humans, like celebrities, politicians, whoever, they're literally transferring their consciousness into this new body. But it seems like there's a defect. Like it seems like that this carbon copy is not functioning the same way. Like they're having breakdowns. Like, so I thought to myself, it's just a fake copy the way I was looking at it. But you could maybe they haven't perfected it. I don't know. But
it depends who makes it.
Right. They want to live forever. So the elites, they want to clone themselves like the Anunnaki and transfer their consciousness over to new bodies. And that's why they've been so obsessed with this eugenics. You also mentioned that your body is waiting for you on your star system when you leave this planet because you volunteered. And you're going to, like, your body is being preserved for you for when you leave, to now transfer your consciousness back into where you originally were from when you volunteered to do this mission. And then that's it. You're back in your body. Your life now is what it was before you left. I don't know if you'll have your memories. I'm sure you probably will. You would be able to step into your body and now look back on the experience you had as Elena on this planet and the work you did and feel proud about it. And are you looking forward to that? Like, do you think about like how that's going to be? Have you seen your body?
I look forward to get out of there.
I know. I understand. It's like I say I'm an earthling, but at the same time, I'm like, can we get to the fifth, please? Because like this lower density, I can't. I don't want to do another round of this, to be honest. Like I want to have all my karmic debts paid. I think I'm almost there. Like I literally look and say, who do I owe a karmic debt to? Where do I got to fix this? Because I want to get it done while I'm here now. I don't want to come back and have to do something from old business that I didn't take care of.
We're joking, but it's a privilege to be here.
But it's hard. It's not easy. It's a lower density. Dolores Cannon said it's one of the most difficult planets to actually exist in because of the lower density. But it's like a school. It's a learning place. It's a place to evolve. And it's going to be even more special when we actually enter into this full fifth dimension. And that's when it's just going to be fun to be here. It'll be lighter. I notice it now. Like things are just manifesting so quickly now. Like synchronicity, telepathy, like all that stuff is becoming so much sharper and so immediate. Just moments before we actually got on to record, I get a text from the host of the Paranoid Radio Show, Trebles Garcia. He's been listening to the podcast, and he sends me this video of this girl on TikTok talking about the Federation. There is other life forms, opening this book and talking about the Mitra. And then when she closes the book, I see it's your book. It's the cover of A Gift from the Stars. and I'm looking at it and I'm like, you have no idea what you just sent me. Like, you just sent me, like, I just read this book a day ago and I'm having the author on in about 10 minutes. What are the odds that you would send me this video that would show that book at this moment in time? It just, there it is, synchronicity. It's like all this stuff that is now happening so quick, and it's so sharp now, and it happens every day. I notice it. So we're being upgraded, and that's the way I look at it.
Yes, I've noticed the time has speeded up since it has started about 20 years ago. You could really see the time speeding up, and that's shifting of density. Because in higher density, the frequency is faster.
There's no delay. Like in the third, there's a delay. You manifest, but you have to wait for the delay to kick in, and that's when people give up. They say, "Oh, I was manifesting, but nothing happened." Now you manifest, and it's like boom, right on the.
The thing is, we've been altered. Normally, we are meant to live several hundred years.
Okay.
You can find traces of this in I'm not religious, but
Bible, the Bible.
Read the Bible.
Yeah.
The ancient ones, they would live 200, 300 years.
Moses.
That's an error in conversion. And no, it's not.
Like 250 years.
Yeah, we are meant, that's our normal age when we're not altered, and we are unlocking our consciousness to density, awareness, and consciousness as well. We are unlocking our DNA, what has been blocked by the Annunaki. We are unlocking it, and as we evolve in consciousness, and we are going to live longer and age later.
Yes, especially with technology. They've been putting chemicals in our water. They've been chemicals in the air. They've been trying to dull out our pineal gland so we don't have this awareness. So they've done everything they can to keep us on pharmaceuticals and medication. Once that's all removed and we have air and food and vibration, yes, I could totally see it. I could see us being 150, 250 years old. And I actually think in very distant future, we will reach thousands of years. Because if we have these genetics, why wouldn't we be able to exist for that long?
There are many human races from more advanced cultures in this galaxy who do it, when you see people like the Pleiadians, for instance, or Alpha Centaurians, or people like humans like this, they all look beautiful and healthy, and how come? Because they master the genetics. They can renew their cellular evolution, and they can clone themselves. And if they want to live longer, to go for another road, they just step in a new clone of themselves. We're gonna get there soon. We have this technology.
Have you seen Thorhan and Anax age at all since you were a child?
No.
They have not aged since you were. They look just as young and vibrant and the same. That's amazing. That is amazing. You were a child and now you're this old and they haven't changed.
Thorhan has a little bit aged, but
not a wrinkle. He's got a wrinkle in his eye somewhere.
Kind of, yes. Like
really,
good age from from 30 years old to 45, something like that. Kind of. But it's very slightly. But people like Valiant Thor, it's another race, human race. It's not the same race as Thorhan. Is Tal, and they are much more like us. The same genome, and I've seen his since the photos that was taken in 1957, I suppose, the famous black and white photo, till now, where I met this person last year. Well, yeah, he aged, but not like, he looks in his late 40s now.
Wow. I mean, that was 50, 70 years ago.
I know.
Like, that's like incredible. Like, those people are dead now. The people that were living back then. That's incredible. I mean, what is the lifespan of a Pleiadian? I didn't get to that part. I didn't get to the P's yet in the book.
There are different races in the Pleiades, but it can be nearly 1,000 years old. Some, some they will end their life at 500, 600. Wow. I'm talking in Earth years.
Yeah.
Others go over the 1,000. Depends on the races.
Wow, that's amazing. Like, and why not? Like, why do I want to come back and start over in a new body, like, and be a baby again and have to remember? I'd rather just kind of keep evolving and stay a certain youth and vibrance. What about Anax? Like, how many years? I mean, wait, hold on. Anax is one of the founding members of the Council of Five, correct?
Yes.
So he is thousands and thousands of years old.
I know he's ageless, and when you look into his eyes, you see all the ancient age of the galaxy. It's amazing. He's ageless. He hasn't. You can't put an age visually on Anax.
He's one of the founding members of the Council of Five. Like, he was there for the wars and the Annunaki and the Confederation forming. Like, it was the Council of 9 or 12 at one time, and now they're down to 5, and he's one of them. And so he's been here since the very beginning. He's one of the Seeders, right? Like, he's one of the founders, the Guardians.
Yes, well, not the same as the intergalactic ones, but he's one of the founders of the Council of Five, and he's seen it all through, and that's why he has this kind of, moves like this. He talks like
he's seen it all.
Like Yoda.
Yes, like Yoda. And he actually is your star father. Like, his DNA was mixed with your grandmother's, and then I guess inserted into your. Did you say your mom couldn't have kids, and then suddenly she had you, or was it just not in the picture?
No, my mom didn't have the right genetics. Something wasn't. My grandmother, my mother line is a line of shamanic magical people from the Baltic Sea, and my grandmother had it activated, and these abilities activate only every 2 generations. I don't know how, but that's how it works. My granny was telling me that. Every 2 generations. So my mother didn't have the activation. So Anax, it's very weird, but I was a bit disturbed when I heard that. He mixes DNA with my granny and my when she was young, and they kept that and they put it in my mother's womb.
He's an ancient elder. His DNA. He took a piece, and then your grandmother, or whatever they did,
she was harvested, and they did that in vitro.
But they wouldn't. In other words, they didn't feel the need to have your grandmother give birth to you. Like, she needed. In other words, because you hadn't been born yet.
It wasn't the moment yet. It wasn't the right time.
Okay, so she was ahead of the time that you needed to be here, and you were put here. He put this here for the reason that you're here now, sitting before us, getting the world prepared. You had a mission, a job. That is your true lineage. Like that.
To understand this, you need not to think in linear time. I know it's difficult.
It is.
Because all of us envoys come from the future. That's another
mind bender.
And so the people needed to prepare bloodlines and DNA to be able to receive envoys, otherwise clashes and both suffer. You need to activate DNA. So you can't activate DNAs like this. You need to go through generations. That's why they picked the bloodlines, and they started to work on them.
Wow.
Generation by generation, and going back in time.
Wow.
That's how it.
Has Anax seeded many other people that are now here now? He's fathered many star seeds.
Yes, I know he has fathered others.
And when they talk about like the generations, like say the volunteers and the baby boomers, they were the first of that generation, and so they were on their own. And that would be like my mom and your mom. They were on their own, and then we came with Generation X, and so we had it a little easier. They had a little bit of a groundwork that was laid out for us. And then
Alex Collier was one of the first wave.
And he was like on his own, like really nobody helping but you being a very distinct individual, where you are now the only one that I am aware of that is now the emissary, the messenger from the Federation to the world from military standpoint. You're the only one that's getting military intelligence fed to you, authorized. Okay, so now the world can now hear this part of the story. Send it to Elena. The world could hear that. It's all being funneled from the military to you. So that just separates, like there's a lot of contactees, but Nobody's getting that kind of, that I'm aware of, that kind of intel. So you have a tremendous responsibility. You have a tremendous role. I don't think they could have picked a better person, because the way you handle it, and the pressure, and the questions, everybody wants answers, and you don't have all the answers all the time.
No, I don't. When I don't know, I say I don't know. And I always say, people who pretend to have answers to everything, I find that suspicious.
Yes, I agree. So, but your patience, you take all questions, you take it with a smile and glow. So they picked the right person. I consider you to be part of my inner circle of trust, where it's like you, Dr. Sala, Alex, a couple of others, JP, and Jean-Charles Moyer, and David Rousseau. They also add to the confirmation and the legitimacy of everything, that's, especially when it aligns. And that's what I'm doing with the show. My series is that I'm taking that information from everyone and condensing it into presentable story form to take people on this journey. But I'm really just taking what you guys are presenting and making it fit to see if it aligns. And it really does. It just aligns perfectly.
Yeah, that's it. Now we are so many to cross testimonies and come together with the same narrative. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and we all have each some pieces of the puzzle, which is absolutely exciting.
And it's really helping, because people that aren't aware of this stuff, like, they don't have any idea about this. They're getting the information and it's coming in fast. You can't go too overwhelming for people, because it's just like a big thing to take on. Insectoids, is that how you say it? Like giant insectoids, like giant praying mantises that are highly evolved and telepathic. Like, we're gonna see that, and that's something you gotta get ready for.
Imagine me, I'm used to see all weird stuff.
Yeah.
I met one mantis a few months ago, last year. I freaked out.
Wow.
So if I freaked out, imagine.
I mean, did you freak out, like, on the spot, like, this is too much for me?
No, I freaked out because it was so different, such a different life form. And I'm used to see so many different extraterrestrial, I nothing just bothers me. But when she was it was a female, she was in the room, and she turned to me and she looked at me. And when she looked at me first, the aspect is like, wow, that's disturbing. And then they are interdimensional beings. They can exist in different dimensions at the time.
Wow.
We figure that out. Yes.
Simultaneously.
And their consciousness as well. So you feel that. You feel this weird vortex field around them, about them. And that is the disturbing thing. Because mantis are interdimensional beings, but constantly interdimensional. They're like, you can feel their like vortexes. It's a weird sensation that's unsettling.
Is it dangerous? Can you be sucked into it? Can you be damaged?
Well, they're like every other species, like us, for instance. They are good intention, bad intention,
Okay.
But when you have bad intention ones, yeah, they can suck you out in another dimension.
So there's good and even though they're super evolved, there is good and there is bad. Because you could evolve as a dark force too, right? I mean, like, because there's polar opposites. Yeah. So there is just as powerful beings that are in the negative and choose to be. But that's what makes it difficult, or makes it like scary for us. It's like, am I in front of a good or in front of a bad? Am I seeing a ship that is from good ETs or ships that are from bad? How do you know which one you're getting into, especially as a child?
Yeah, as a child, you don't know.
Right.
Tony Rodriguez, it was bad luck. He just stood up the wrong kid whose dad was an Illuminati, so that was it. For Jean-Charles Moyen, it's different. He was already predestined by his extraterrestrial family, positive SSP Solar Warden and Galactic Federation, so that was just something programmed. But yes, some others who are abducted and taken into the dark fleet are the unlucky ones.
Yes.
You have so many different secret space programs, positive and negative, so...
Yeah, because John Charles, he definitely was on another level. He was vibrating. He was able to draw energy from the electrical grid as a child. He was able to see
teleport.
He was able to teleport when he was a child. See,
teleport.
yes. So he was. I look at him as being taken into the gifted program, like the X-Men, like the movie the X-Men,
Yes,
the mutants.
yes.
I look at him as going into like the X-Men school of the gifted, and so he was put into that program where. And then the other thing that really kind of like confuses me is that Maria Orsic was actually the teacher and like the guardian of these children, but yet she comes from the Nazis who were doing those secret space programs and contacting ETs. And so she was working with the Nazis back in those days, and then she left, and now I guess she switched over, is that, or she just playing a role?
Maria Orsic, she's an extraterrestrial. She never wanted to work with the Nazis. The thing is, she was forced, but like
manipulated.
Played it into. And when she realized that, because they wanted her knowledge, she came here to help humanity with technologies but then the Nazis took the whole of her. And when she realized, she went, oh no, I'm not doing that. No. And she broke away from them, and she had her own, she built her own, programs, that she was leading. That's how all positive programs, and that's how she got to work with the Federation and warden. And she's very active in the secret space programs.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about her as being a wonderful, motherly, caring woman. So I was like, how did that transformation happen? And that's why they were building these zero gravity ships back then, and they were getting plans, the blueprint to build these ships through her and some other of the women that were having this contact. But so now that takes us back to the Jupiter Accord, and when. Because you guys were talking about this on the program yesterday or the other day, that like the dark hats that have transferred over to the white hats and the trust factor, and are they going to hold their end of the oath? And Thorhan, when he explains it, it makes sense to me. But then there's a question I have, is that for me, when he explains it, he says when they were in contact with the Cedars, like their souls, like to be in contact with these light beings, these seventh dimensional beings, like. You're going to be feeling such an intense amount of energy and truth that I'm picturing it as the good ones were actually opened up into a real understanding of who they are, their souls, the love, what it truly is. And I believe the dark ones were actually opened up and shown. And I bet you their souls were aching with pain and regret for actually taking those dark paths, because the founders said they trust these guys. Like they said, we have full trust in these leaders that they will honor their commitment and their oath. And so they've had transformations. So you say, how did these dark guys, why would they trust them? So,
in fact, I think we need to separate two things. There's the Galactic Federation of Worlds. It's structured in this galaxy, and there are people like us, different levels of evolution, but normal people, beings. Mm-hmm. And they work with the White Hats. They create the Earth Alliance. And then, so in these ones are the ones who pass agreements with on Jupiter. It was made with the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
Right.
Then you have the Intergalactic Confederation, the Cedars.
Right, the bigger.
The founders or the guardians.
Right.
These people came in October.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't there when the Jupiter agreements.
Oh, they weren't there for the Jupiter Accord.
They came after. Maybe they had representatives. Probably they had. But it was maybe, but the accords were made with the Galactic Federation.
But when Thorhan explains it, he says that when they met the Cedars, the founders, and maybe it wasn't at the Jupiter Accord, he says they had such an effect and a transformation on them that they committed to seeing their oath through and doing good for humanity. That was in October. Oh, that was in Antarctica.
Antarctica, they met with the Intergalactic Confederation as well. They were their representative of the Intergalactic Confederation.
Okay.
And they were like scared by them.
Okay.
Like how you describe. It was really...
the energy was intense.
Yes, and life-changing. Because I can totally understand that, because these people, they are now stationed behind Jupiter and on Ganymede as well. There are many people from Earth that are going there back and forth, and it's an absolutely life-changing encounter with these beings from other galaxies. I've met them twice, and yes, it just changed everything in my soul. I suddenly understood the bigger picture, and I gained a new perspective on the events that are happening in this galaxy, and why are things are playing like this, and why there are conflicts. Things, it really changes you. It changes you.
I believe it. To focus on these material conquests and these material gains of the third dimension becomes trivial, becomes so insignificant when you're in the presence of these beings that you see the big picture, and it's nothing to do with this material gains and this power control. And so your commitment to actually seeing this through must have, even for you, must have just been so much more reinforced that I will do whatever it takes to be a part of this, and I will give of myself, because that's how I feel, and I haven't even met him.
Yes, that's it. You gaining a new perspective, you stop reacting from a lower perspective. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I used to be triggered by people attacking me. Mm-hmm. And since I met these guys, I'm not. Mm-hmm. And I see the people attacking me like something being part of a bigger picture, mm-hmm. and what's happening on Earth as well. Mm-hmm. Source, all living form, that's what I gain as a perspective. All living consciousness are children of Source, created by a source of all consciousness. And the Draco reptilians are as much as we are.
Yes.
Then souls, decide cultures and sometimes whole species, like the Draco reptilians, are going to choose a path of destruction, because the dynamics of the universe is a dynamo between destruction and creation. Mm-hmm. If there was perfect balance, it's stillness and it's death. Because of the fight between creation and destruction, it makes the universe work.
Yes.
And life and evolve.
Yes. Like, there's no growth if everything's perfect. If there's no conflict, you're not learning anything. There's nothing to grow and evolve through. So evolution has to go through the conflict in order to become stronger, because we become stronger through all of our struggles. And you became stronger when you're picked on as a bully. It made you stronger, and now you're a different person. You look back on those moments and you say, those were the moments that changed me for the better. You needed those. Positive and negative is necessary. So, like, it's not like God or the source is punishing anybody. That's actually the whole point of me creating the Fail Academy. I put the word fail in there to show people that it's not an evil word. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to be ashamed of. Success is built on the foundation of failure. You fail over and over and over, and then you succeed, and you have all this wisdom and knowledge from the failures that you gain from that to make the success what it is. So it's all built on the struggles and the mistakes. So people shouldn't be afraid of making those mistakes or shame themselves for making them. We'll wrap up here on, and this was a fantastic session. I knew it would be. I was very excited to have you, and I just knew there would be an amazing session and connection. I wanted to say, how do we tell people how to raise their vibration? What can they do? Like, when someone's like, what do I do? What can you suggest?
Okay, to raise your vibration, you need to unplug from the matrix, the 3D matrix, which is bound by fear. You need to take fear out of the equation.
Yes.
That's the first step. You won't raise your frequency if you don't do that. So how do you take fear out of the equation? By ignoring all the sources that generate fear. Mainstream medias, doom and gloom, prophets, like, I don't know how to say that.
Yes.
People who are telling you, there's a meteorite is going to hit Earth. And
the end times.
Yes, and all these things. Oh, the government's telling you fear because.
Yes.
Just, hey, fear, it's illusion.
Yes.
Fear doesn't exist if you do not allow it to exist, if you do not make it. Fear is your reaction to an information that comes. You can either react by fear or either ignore it. So ignore it. So that's one thing. Take fear out. And then once you've taken fear out of the equation, you go within yourself by meditation, however way you want to meditate. You go within, and there it's by steps. What I recommend is to first being aware of your physical body, your blood, your muscles, everything that is body. And while you focus on that, you're not focusing on anything else outside your gut. And then you go within, who inhabits this body. Go at the discovery of your soul and try to tune in with your soul and discover who you are, what color, what shape, how do you look like inside, And while you do that, you are going to attune with the frequency of this being that is inside, who is of a higher vibration than this body. And then you have risen your frequency.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely so simple and so well said, eloquently said, so embracing. It's not something you have to become a master at doing. And the fear factor, on the last episode 3, I really hammered down, fear is the absolute opposite of your power. It's the opposite of love. They say fear is probably more damaging, detrimental than hate, and it comes in all forms. It's like, oh, am I going to make the rent this month? Am I going to do this? Is this going to happen? The thoughts are constant throughout the day. You have to be aware of them, and you have to catch them quickly, and then not beat yourself up, but just understand it, catch it, and now move into the empowerment and ask your guides to guide you. Ask your guides to lead you to the right place, the right person, and they will. They will, and it's fun. And when you actually tap into them, they just want to help us, right?
Yes. They you need to ask as well. Your guides won't intervene if you don't ask for help, but they will if it's a matter of saving your life, of course.
Right.
But,
right.
We need to ask.
Yes. And they're there. Our galactic family, our ancestors, our star family, they're there. And I suppose we will at one time become a guardian or take a role as following the life of one of our family members, ancestors, and helping them, waiting for them to ask us for assistance. I'm sure that we all play these roles for each other. Thank you so much, Elena. Hopefully I will have you back. I mean, you will come back, right? I hope so. I look forward to that because I want to read the next book, We Will Never Let You Down. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got to get through all the alphabets of the species. There's so many, and it's highly recommended. There's other things Elena does. She's a druid. She's a spiritual practitioner. You still offer consultations, or are you too busy with the galactic
At the moment,
world?
I don't do private consultation. I don't have time. I'm privileged to work for the many.
Yes. Yeah, this is your job now. Like you are, this is the role. You're constantly putting out the updated intel. And just the fact that you took the time out to be here today was very appreciated and valued.